Hi guys, we're working on lesson 4 problem set. I am on a different computer, so I'm hoping that this works out for all of us. So if you look on the first page, we're working with bar graphs today, and they start with a chart. Excuse me, that gives us the number of magazines sold by each student. So you've got a row with people's names across the top, and then underneath how many magazines each of them sold. So our job is to create a bar graph where it says section or part A, use the chart to draw a bar graph below, create an appropriate scale. So they've started us off, they gave us the title, which is number of magazines sold by third grade students. And then over on the left is our magazines sold, and on the bottom are our students. So we have to create the scale. And remember, the scale is just the numbers that go up and down the side. Sometimes it's on the bottom, but for here, the magazine sold is all our numbers. So we're going to create a scale on the side. And when I create a scale, what I look for is in my data, this table or chart up here, I can see that my lowest number sold was 100 and my highest is 600. So my scale has to at least fit 100 and 600 and everything in between on there. So would it make sense to start labeling the tick marks with a 1 and a 2 and a 3? Well, we'll never even get to 100 if we do that. Our paper would have to be really, really long. Would we get there if we labeled each tick mark 2, then 4, then 6? No, not even with tens. And so if you look at this, if our lowest is 100, we need to get to 600. The easiest way to do it is to make each one 100. Okay, so I'm going to see if this is going to work. So far, not so good. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I'm going to try to make this readable, but we'll see. So that's 100. The next one is going to be 200. 300. Hopefully your writing is better than this. 400, 500, and 600. So we're counting by 100s. And that will work because some of our data points have 50 in them, and that's just going to be halfway between our tick marks, okay? All right, so then down the bottom we need to label our students. So I'm going to just take the first letter of each of their names. So this is going to be Ben, R for Rachel, J for Jeff, S for Stanley, and D for Debbie. Okay. Now I'm just going to go ahead and graph them. So if I look at Ben, he sold 300. So I'm going to go up to my 300. Okay, and I'm going to make a rectangle and color that in. Sorry, this is not looking very pretty. Then Rachel, she sold 250. Well, I know 200 is the line, 300 is the next one, so I've got to go in between. Okay, so this is Rachel, she's at 250. And Jeff is at 100, that's way at the bottom here, so just one little rectangle. Interesting, don't know why that's doing that. Okay, we'll see if we can get this going here again. Maybe I'm coloring too hard. All right, we'll just say Jeff is colored in. And then Stanley sold 450. Wow, he went crazy. So his is way up about right here, in between the 400 and 500. Now, what is going on here? Okay. And then the last one is Debbie at 600, all the way to the top line. Okay, so you can see this bar graph gives us a nice picture of who sold the most and the least, okay? All right, so question B says to explain why we chose the scale for the graph. If you remember, I said I looked at the lowest number sold and the highest number sold. So I'm going to write the scale, and this is going to be real hard to read. The scale was chosen to fit the lowest amount up to the highest amount. These ends don't show up very well. Okay, so we're looking to fit the numbers that are given in our table the best way we can. And again, if you just started labeling each of those tick marks with 1s or 2s or even 10s, you wouldn't be able to fit it on the paper. So that's what a scale does. It fits a large amount of information into a smaller space. Okay? All right, so let's go to the back side. Letter C asks, how many fewer magazines did Debbie sell than Ben and Stanley combined? So this is similar to lesson 3 where we had to do a little work ahead of time. So Ben sold 300, right? So I'm just going to kind of write 300 up above him, plus whatever Stanley sold, just 450. So if you add those together, you get 750. So that's going to be my starting point, because remember, how many fewer means it's a subtraction problem. If I subtract Debbie, which is 600, that equals what? 150 magazines. All right, part D, how many more magazines did Debbie and Jeff sell than Ben and Rachel? So now we're combining a couple more. So Debbie was 600 plus 100. Okay, that gives us 700 for Debbie and Jeff. And then Ben had 300, so I'm just going back to the table because it's a lot easier to use the numbers from the table for something like this. And Rachel was 250. So 300 and 250 is 550. So my problem is now 700 minus 550. Okay, something like this I like to count up. So 550 plus 100 is 650, plus 50 more gets me 700. So I know it's 150. You could do this the standard algorithm. So 0 minus 0 is 0, 7, or you can't do 0 minus 5. So we're going to unbundle. So we've got 6 there. Now we've got 10 here. 10 minus 5 is 5, and 6 minus 5 is 1. So 150 mags for an abbreviation for magazines. Okay. All right, so that's the first problem. The second one is going to ask us just 2 questions. This is a bar graph that shows the number of visitors to a carnival from Monday to Friday. And if we look at the scale there, we're going by 50s. So we have to figure out what each one of those tick marks is. If we start at 0 and we count each tick mark, how much is each tick mark worth before we get to the 50? Well, the only way to get to 50 from 0 to that first line is to count by 10s. Okay, so each tick mark is 10. So we're going to really need to pay attention when we're reading this. So question A says, how many fewer visitors were there on the least busy day than on the busiest day? Okay, so these are the days, these are the number of visitors. So the least busiest is going to be the lowest bar, which is Thursday. So if I look at that bar, I can either read it as 10 less than 200 because it's on the tick mark right before 200, or I can count up from 150 by 10s. Okay, so either way, Thursday had 190. I'm just going to write it up here so I can remember that. The busiest day is going to be my tallest bar, which is Wednesday. So if I look at that and I count up from 400, I get 410, 420, so that's 430. Okay, so how many fewer days? Well, we need to subtract 430 minus 190. Okay, so I'm just going to do it over here. 430 minus 190. 0 minus 0 is 0. 3 minus 9 I can't do. Unbundle. That gives me 13 tens. 13 minus 9 is 4. 3 minus 1 is 2. So our answer is 240. And you can write visitors. I'm not going to be able to fit it. I'm just going to write viz. So we're subtracting always to find how many more or how many fewer. The last one, more combinations. So how many more people attended the fair on Monday and Tuesday combined than on Thursday and Friday combined? Well, we know what Wednesday and Thursday are already, so we need to figure out Monday and Tuesday. So Monday, if you look at it, is 10 less than 350, so that's 340. And Tuesday is right on the line at 300. Okay, so that is 640 on Monday and Tuesday. Thursday and Friday, we know we've got 190 plus, what's Friday? That looks like 370. So that combined, 560 is what I get. So now we need to figure out the difference between 640 and 560. So we're subtracting. And the difference there is 80 visitors. Okay, so I'm not showing you all my subtracting. I'm doing a little bit in my head, but you can see how I'm solving these problems by figuring out what each of the day's visitors were. I have to add a couple to combine, add another couple to combine, and then subtract the answers to both of those to get the answer to part B. Okay, so that is lesson 4. Please go ahead and get started on your homework and let me know if you have any questions. Bye.